Good morning, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, learners, listeners, scholars, students, colleagues, friends, players, advertisers, advocates, officials and professionals, ministers and doctors throughout the world, those who are listening from the world of science, religion, commerce, engineering and art, literature, entertainment. So I welcome all. Dr. Rakesh from USA. Your time is really praiseworthy, admirable, appreciable. You are providing the presence of your thought for getting, for receiving the truth of science and spirituality. There is no purpose in view with God, because if there were some purpose, he would be nothing better than a man. Why should he need any purpose? If he had any, he would be bound by it. There would be something besides him which was greater. For instance, the carpet weaver makes a piece of carpet. The idea was outside of him, something greater. Now, where is the idea to which God would adjust himself? Just as the greatest emperors sometimes play with the dolls, so he is playing with this nature. And what we call law is this, we call it law, because we can see only little bits which run smoothly. All our ideas of law are within the little bit. It is nonsense to say that law is infinite, that throughout all time stones will fall if all reasons be based upon experience. Who was there to see if stones fell 5 millions of years ago? So law is not constitutional in man. It is a scientific assertion as to man that where we begin, there we end. As a matter of fact, we get gradually outside of law until we get out altogether. But with the added experience of a whole life in God and freedom, we begin, and freedom and God will be the end. These laws are in the middle state through which we have to pass. Our Vedanta is the assertion of freedom always. The very idea of law will frighten the Vedantist, and eternal law is very dreadful thing for him, because there would be no escape. If there is to be an eternal law binding him all the time, where is the difference between him and a blade of grass? We do not believe in that abstract idea of law. We say that it is freedom that we are to seek, and that freedom is God. It is the same happiness as in everything else. But when man seeks it in something which is finite, he gets only a spark of it. The thief, when he steals, gets the same happiness as the man who finds it in God. But the thief gets only a little spark with a mass of misery. The real happiness is God. Love is God, freedom is God, and everything that is bondage is not God. Man has freedom already, but he will have to discover it. He has it, but every moment forgets it. That discovering, consciously or unconsciously, is the whole life of everyone. But the difference between the sage and the ignorant man is that one does it consciously and the other unconsciously. Everyone is struggling for freedom from the atom to the star. The ignorant man is satisfied if he can get freedom within a certain limit. If he can get rid of the bondage of hunger or of being thirsty, but that saga feels that there is a stronger bondage which has to be thrown off. He would not consider the freedom of the Red Indian as freedom at all. According to our philosophers, freedom is the goal. Knowledge cannot be the goal, because freedom is a compound. It is a compound of power and freedom, and it is freedom alone that is desirable. That is what men struggle after. Simply the possession of power would not be knowledge. For instance, a scientist can send an electric shock to a distance of some miles, but nature can send it to an unlimited distance. Why do we not build statues to nature then? It is not law that we want, but ability to break law. We want to be outlaw. If you are bound by laws, you will be a lump of clay. Whether you are beyond law or not is not the question, but the thought that we are beyond law, upon that is based the whole history of humanity. For instance, a man lives in a forest and never has had any education or knowledge. He sees a stone falling down, a natural phenomena happening, and he thinks it is freedom. He thinks it has a soul, and the central idea in that is freedom. But as soon as he knows that it must fall, he calls it nature, dead, mechanical action. It may or may not go into the street. In that is my glory as a man. If I am sure that I must go there, I give myself up and become a mechanic or become a machine. Nature with its infinite power is only a machine. Freedom alone constitutes sentient life. The Vedanta says that the idea of freedom, Vedanta says that the idea of the man in the forest is the right one. His glimpse is right, but the explanation is wrong. He holds to this nature as freedom and not as governed by law. Only after all this human experience, we will come back to think the same, but in a more philosophical sense. For instance, I want to go out into the street. I get the impulse of my will, and then I stop. And in the time that intervenes between the will and going into the street, I am working informally. Uniformity of action is what we call law. This uniformity of my actions, I find, is broken into very short periods, and so I do not call my actions under law. I walk to freedom, I walk for 5 minutes, but before those 5 minutes of walking, which are uniform, there was the action of the will which gave the impulse to walk. Therefore, man says he is free because all his actions can be cut up into small periods, and although there is sameness in the small periods, beyond the period there is not the sameness. In this perception of non-uniformity is the idea of freedom. In nature we see only very large periods of uniformity, but the beginning and end must be free impulses. The impulse of freedom was given just at the beginning, and that has rolled on, but this, compared with our periods, is much longer. We find by analysis on philosophic grounds that we are not free, but there will remain the factor, this consciousness that I am free. What we have to explain is how that comes. We will find that we have these two impulsions in us. Our reason tells us that all our actions are caused, and at the same time, with every impulse, we are asserting our freedom. The solution of the Vedanta is that there is freedom inside, that the soul is really free, but that soul's actions are percolating through body and mind, which are not free. As soon as we react, we become slaves. A man blames me, and I immediately react in the form of